Our second type of angle pairs. In the previous video, we talked about adjacent angles and linear pair. This one's about complementary angles and supplementary angles. And here's the definitions. Complementary angles is two angles whose sum is 90 degrees. For example, if I'm thinking about a 30-degree angle, here's some examples. A 30-degree angle. Well, what angle would add to 30 to get 90? Well, some of you just immediately say 60 because you're very good at that type of mathematics. You could also think of it this way. Just take 30 and subtract it from 90, or 90 minus 30, I should say. I said that backwards. 90 minus 30 would be 60 degrees. Those are two complementary angles. That's the first example. Here's a second example. How about 45 degrees? Well, do it the way that I described second, because I'm going to set you up for a special type of question here in a moment. 90 minus 45 is 45 degrees. How about, I don't know, 95 degrees? Well, wait a minute now. Two angles that add up to 90. We don't talk about negative angles in geometry. This one we can't do. Can't do it. Okay. How about this one? Now, this is one that students find really, really tricky all the time, coming from algebra. What if I said I'm thinking of two complementary angles and the first one is x? Not kidding. The first one is x. What's the second one? I'll get a lot of students say, y? And I'll say, well, can you describe it in terms of x? And then I get some confused looks. Well, remember how we did this. If I gave you 30, 90 minus 30 is 60, right? 90 minus 45 is 45. So why can't we just say 90 minus x? We can. That's the answer. And then some students will say, well, what would x be? I'm saying that's what algebra taught us, is that it's okay if we're given a question that has an unknown to give an answer that also has the same unknown. That's perfectly acceptable. But this is what we could use to find complements, and that's what we did up here. Okay, and so how about supplementary? Let's take a look at that. Supplementary is two angles that add up to 180 degrees. Let's say the first one is, I don't know, let's start easy, 80 degrees. And same thing, some of you and me will say 100. Think about it this way. 180 minus 80 is equal to 100 degrees. Check it. Those two add up to 180. Supplementary. How about this? 90 degrees. Well, 180 minus 90, 90 degrees. How about one more? Let's say 20 degrees. 180 minus 120, or 180 minus 20 is 160 degrees. So just take whatever angle I give you and subtract it from 180. Well, here we go again. There's the stumper. What about x? Well, 180 minus x is a perfectly acceptable answer. Perfectly acceptable. Okay. We can get more fancy with that, but just remember, if you subtract it from 180, you can't go wrong. Let me just show you really quick one other one. And I think this is one that we get out of the book. For example, what if we had something complicated like this? 2x minus 10. What would be the supplement angle of 2x minus 10? We'll do the same thing, 180 minus, but now we have two terms in here. How do I subtract two terms? You put it in parentheses. See what I mean? This is what makes this one very complicated. So then I get 180. I'm going to distribute that minus sign. I get a negative 2x, and I get a plus 10. Combine like terms, 180 plus 10 is 190 minus 2x. And all these you can check by adding them together. Add these together in your head. 2x minus 2x is 0, negative 10 plus 190, 180. So there's a very complicated one. One last piece here. Remember it this way. This is how a lot of students will remember it. C comes before S in the alphabet, correct? 90 comes before 180 when you're counting. Complementary goes with 90 degrees. Supplementary goes with two angles that add up to 180 degrees. A lot of students will remember it that way. Thanks for listening.